Arizona's housing developers do not want you to see this video, because right now there are 12 towns in this state growing so fast that the roads, the schools, and the water supply cannot keep up. And nobody with a financial stake in selling you a house is going to mention that part in the brochure. Arizona added roughly 97,000 residents between mid-2024 and mid-2025, and most of them landed in the same ring of desert towns radiating out from Phoenix, places that were farmland or open scrub 5 years ago, and are now subdivisions with HOAs and no grocery store. We've got a town that grew 30% in a single year, a city whose planning area is larger than Phoenix itself, but only 5% built. A community so new it didn't legally exist until 2025, and a place where the state literally told developers to stop building because the groundwater isn't going to last 100 years. If watching a state outgrow its own plumbing sounds like your kind of content, hit that subscribe button, because this channel covers what the listing photos leave out. Let's count it down. Number 12, Eloy. Eloy sits between Phoenix and Tucson on Interstate 10, and for most of its life it was known for two things: cotton and skydiving. The Eloy Municipal Airport hosts one of the highest volume skydiving operations in the world, which means the town's most reliable economic activity involves people arriving, jumping out of a plane, and leaving. Eloy grew about 2.3% last year, modest by Arizona standards, but the logistics and warehouse corridor spreading south from Phoenix is creeping closer, and the cheap land here is the reason. Eloy is the opening act, the town that gets swallowed first when the sprawl arrives. Number 11, Florence. Florence is the Pinal County seat and one of the oldest towns in Arizona, founded in 1866, which makes it older than the state itself. It also contains 11 prisons and detention facilities, giving it one of the highest ratios of incarcerated people to free residents in the country. Florence grew about 3% last year, but the growth is coming to the residential edges, not the historic core, and the contrast between the charming 19th century courthouse square and the correctional complexes lining the highway is the kind of thing that makes real estate photographers earn their money. Number 10, Avondale. Avondale is home to Phoenix Raceway, which hosts the NASCAR Championship finale every November, and for one weekend a year, this West Valley city of about 95,000 people becomes the center of American motorsport. The rest of the year, it's a suburb absorbing growth at roughly 4% annually, while the I-10 corridor west of Phoenix gets wider and slower in equal measure. The state is now planning an entirely new freeway, State Route 30, parallel to I-10, specifically to serve the West Valley, because the current infrastructure is buckling under the weight of towns that didn't exist at this scale a decade ago. Avondale isn't spiraling. It's the town watching the spiral approach from the next lane over. Number 9, Surprise. Surprise was named in 1938 by its founder, Flora May Statler, who said she'd be surprised if the town ever amounted to anything. It now has over 150,000 residents and is the spring training home of the Texas Rangers and Kansas City Royals. Growth runs above 4% a year, and the sprawl has pushed so far northwest that residents commuting to central Phoenix face drives that can hit 90 minutes during peak hours. Flora May Statler would indeed be surprised. She'd also be stuck in traffic. Number 8, Goodyear. Goodyear, named after the tire company that once grew cotton here for rubber production, has surged past 100,000 residents on about 5% annual growth, making it one of the top 15 fastest-growing cities in America over the past 5 years. The issue in Goodyear is water. The city sits in the same groundwater-dependent West Valley zone that triggered a state-level warning in 2023, when Arizona's water agency announced that existing commitments already exceeded the region's 100-year assured supply. Goodyear insists it has secured enough renewable water to cover current residents. The question is whether the 27 master plan communities approved across the West Valley can say the same. If you're watching this and wondering when the list gets weird, I promise, the top 6 is where the math stops making sense. Hit that like button before the aquifer does. Number 7, Coolidge. Coolidge is the smallest town on this list, and statistically the fastest growing in Arizona over the past 5 years, posting a 48% population surge since 2020 to just under 20,000 residents. It's a former farm town in Pinal County that now sits squarely in the path of the warehouse and logistics boom spreading between Phoenix and Tucson. The Casa Grande Ruins National Monument, a 650-year-old Hohokam structure, stands just outside town, which means one of the oldest buildings in North America is now watching subdivisions rise across the road. Coolidge is growing because the land is cheap, the highways are close, and nobody asks a cotton field how it feels about a fulfillment center. Number 6. Casa Grande. Casa Grande grew about 7.7% in a single year, one of the fastest clips in the state, and the result is a city mid-metamorphosis. Stretches of I-10 north of town are being widened because the commuter traffic to Phoenix has overwhelmed the existing lanes. The city is marketing itself as a logistics and manufacturing hub, and the jobs are coming, but the infrastructure is arriving on a different schedule. When I drove through, a new subdivision was going up next to an active cotton field, and a kid on a dirt bike was doing laps between the model homes and the irrigation ditch. That image is Casa Grande in one frame, a town where the 21st century and the 19th century share a fence line, and neither one is winning. Number 5. Marana. Marana is the dark horse. It's south of Phoenix, just north of Tucson, and it posted 5.7% growth last year, making it the 4th fastest growing city in Arizona, a ranking almost nobody outside Pima County noticed. The town has annexed aggressively, stretching its borders along I-10 to capture commercial and residential development before Tucson could. Marana is growing because it's doing what every town on this list is doing, chasing rooftops, except it's doing it in a part of the state that actually has some water. Number 4. The city of Maricopa. The city of Maricopa, not the county, sits about 35 miles south of Phoenix in Pinal County, and was ranked the 5th fastest growing large city in America in 2024. It grew 7.4% in a year, and has tripled in size since 2005. But the commute to Phoenix is the price of admission. State Route 347, the 2-lane road that connects Maricopa to the freeway, is legendary among residents for bottlenecks that can turn a 35-mile drive into 90 minutes. The state has been promising to widen it for years. The promises keep pace with the population. The road does not. Number 3. Santan Valley. Santan Valley is the youngest municipality in Arizona, officially incorporated in September 2025 after nearly 2 decades of failed attempts. Before that, it was an unincorporated community of roughly 100,000 people with no mayor, no city council, and no dedicated police department, just county services stretched across a bedroom community the size of a mid-tier city. The neighboring town of Florence actually blocked earlier incorporation efforts, worried about losing state revenue. A community of 100,000 people needed permission to become a town. That is the most Arizona sentence I've ever written. Number 2. Queen Creek. Queen Creek grew over 50% since 2020 to about 89,800 residents, one of the steepest rates among large cities in the entire country. But growth is only half the story. In 2023, the state's water agency determined that the region's groundwater wouldn't last 100 years at current use, and Queen Creek was directly in the spotlight. The town spent $168 million in a single year on renewable water resources, up from $60 million the year before. Bloomberg reported that securing water could eventually add $15,000 to individual home prices. Queen Creek's roads are another crisis. Ellsworth Road alone now carries over 50,000 vehicles per day, and the proposed State Route 505, a 55-mile north-south corridor, is still years from breaking ground. A town that got its first permanent stoplight about 20 years ago now needs a freeway. That is the speed of the spiral. Number 1. Buckeye. Buckeye is the fastest growing city in America over the past 5 years, up 46% since 2020, to roughly 125,000 residents, and its municipal planning area covers 642 square miles, larger than the entire city of Phoenix. It is currently about 5% built out. I need you to sit with that number. 5%. The city has approved 27 master plan developments that could bring an additional 800,000 people by 2040, and nearly all of them depend on groundwater that the state has already said is insufficient for a 100-year assured supply. A bridge was recently built over the Central Arizona Project Canal, to connect an existing subdivision to a planned development of 9,600 homes. Locals call it the bridge to nowhere because construction on the other side was halted when the water math didn't work. A bridge to a neighborhood that may never exist, in a city built on a plan that may never be possible. That's not growth. That's a bet, and the collateral is an aquifer that took 10,000 years to fill. That's the list. 12 Arizona towns racing into a future that their infrastructure hasn't met yet. If this video changed how you look at a new subdivision, subscribe, because next week I'm covering the towns that ran out of water before anyone admitted there was a problem. Drop a comment with the Arizona boomtown I missed, and I'll see you in the next one.